All right, what do we got? We got a few. Hey, Thomas. See, Tara's in here too. I think she had a question for us today, so that's going to be good. So anyway, we're going to get started. So we're going to start off and tell you that this is not legal or financial advice. We got to get that out of the way up front. And secondly, we're going to talk about deal structuring today. So it's going to be a great hour. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about deal structure. We're going to talk a little bit about creative finance, and we'll basically talk about whatever you guys want to talk about today. So it's kind of a Q&A. So, nothing's out of bounds. We can help you. We can teach you everything from mindset all the way through wholesaling, wholesaling, flip, fix and flip, light industrial, commercial, all the way through. One thing we can't help with is effort. Okay, so that's the one thing that we can't do. So, and sometimes when I talk to people, I think it's a big thing is we gotta put more effort into what we're doing out here. So, without further ado, we're going to kind of get into deal structuring. And some people may say, well, what is deal structuring? Basically, deal structuring is how you're setting the deal up. Sometimes, I kind of do a lot of creative finance. That's kind of one of my specialties. And sometimes the deal structure is more important than the price you pay itself on a piece of property. So, um, the homeowner may want full price for a piece of property or a house or whatever we're doing. And, that might not be a very good deal, but we can structure a deal in a way through some owner finance, some creative finance type of things that then it becomes, a very good deal, with a low down payment, uh, a low monthly payment, maybe stretched out over a 20, 25 year period. And then it turns, maybe a deal that you were going to try to flip or maybe a deal that you were going to try to wholesale. Now you've turned it into a long-term rental type situation where you might be able to do pretty good with it. So that's basically what deal structuring is. And there's a whole host of ways to do this, from installment land contracts to promissory notes, deed of trust to lease options. I mean, it goes on and on. So, I've structured these deals just all kinds of different ways. You can do sub two, you can do land trust, you can do a host of things, and it really makes a difference in your business because sometimes we can do these types of deals out there, and it's not a good maybe a wholesale deal, but that same lead we can structure it and turn it into a property that we purchase and we have in our portfolio for a rental or maybe for a wrap type situation or anything like that. So we thought we would talk a little bit about that today and, let you guys kind of ask some questions about how we structure deals. And of course, if you have questions about wholesaling or anything else, I usually refer that stuff to Travis because that's his specialty, and then I kind of take it from there and run forward with it on any other type of deal. If you're looking at creative finance, if you're looking for private financing, how those private type deals, how we structure those types of deals with our lenders, anything like that, feel free to reach out, ask us those questions. And Travis, I'll let you take over here a little bit.
Yeah, man, I like that. I like what you're saying. As if I go back and I act like I don't know what all this stuff means, I'd be very confused though. Like I'm just curious. Like, you say land contracts, promissory notes. You're using all these terms. Can we
Mhm.
go a little bit in depth and like I know that you can go really deep with this stuff, but just in a very simple way, what each one of those means.
Yeah, well, promissory note deed of trust in West Virginia, we're a promissory note deed of trust. Some states are like mortgage states, or states are a little different. But basically, what that means is when you get a promissory note deed of trust from a seller, they basically own the property free and clear, and they financed it. They basically are playing bank. They're being the bank. They're carrying the note, the whole 9 yards, and usually you're setting it up to where you're paying a checking account for them at their bank or whatever the case might be. And title to the property actually changes hands. It goes from them to your company or whatever structure that you're buying the property in. So that's a true finance deal. And those are always to me the best deals because the property's in your name. You can depreciate the property, taxes, responsibility, insurance, everything is you. And that's the way I prefer it. But sometimes, that's sometimes we can't do that. Installment land contracts on the contrary, is exactly that. They're land contracts. So basically, people uh, own the property and they may still owe money on it, and or they may not owe money. It doesn't really matter. But the installment land basically keeps the property in the homeowner's name until you pay it off. Okay, that's the difference between the two. So, it's basically you have possession of the property. You can do what you want with it. You can rent it. You can do this or that, but they're still responsible for any underlying payments and they're still responsible for insurance, taxes, and so forth. So you structure the deal where your payment should cover that for them. So that's kind of what an installment land contract is. Um, Lease options. I've done a bunch of lease option stuff through the years. I know some of you have kind of seen the resurgence of Ron LeGrand out here. He's kind of popped back up, but Ron LeGrand is kind of the lease option guy. But it's basically you can take a property in a lease with an option to purchase. Okay, that option to purchase may be over a 2, 3, 4, 5 year period. So let's say you took a lease on a property. Um, let's say your payment's 400 a month, their payment's 200 a month, and you can rent it for 750 a month. Okay, so you take it on a lease, you can sublease it to some new tenants, and you can make that 250 split between what their payoff is, and then the option itself is basically gives you time to accumulate some money. So you can set an option. Let's say you can set an option at year one that the payoff is $50,000. Uh, Year two, the payoff is $49,000. Year three, 48. You can structure it that way to where at the end of each year, like if you're doing it and you got a 5 year option, each year this is what the payoff would be at the end of that year. Okay. Now, when your option expires, kind of the deal expires unless you guys re-up it. So, um, kind of what you got to get away from in real estate is having everything in your name. So it's sort of like the old John D. Rockefeller principle, uh, own nothing, control everything. So you don't always have to have the property in your name, in your company, or whatever the case might be. So that's basically where the creative finance comes in. Then you've got subject to, and a lot of you've heard about, you Pace Morby's out there doing a lot of sub two type stuff. And, I've done a lot of sub twos through the years. So, that's another form of creative financing. Now, sub two being well down the line for me. I'm trying to do other things before I get to sub two. It's not normally my primary way of taking the property, but
Why is
it,
that?
well, there's certain things. I mean, I knew you'd do that. So you put here's what you're looking at on sub two. And I know it's an unpopular opinion. I mean, I get it. It's unpopular, but when when you take that property sub two, okay, and they say, well, you need to put it into a land contract, right? That's what everybody's teaching. Put in a land contract. I've researched this extensively, and I've been doing these things for 20 plus years. When that homeowner puts that property into that land trust, are they doing it for the purpose of estate planning, or are they doing it for the purpose of kind of defrauding the bank, if you will? Okay, think about it. So, you put it into the land trust and boom. Okay. Well, if the bank has a lien on that property and the bank loaned the money to David Dean. Okay. And then all of a sudden David Dean puts his property into a land trust. Well, did I do it in there just for the purposes for my estate? Maybe. But then again, if I was told to do it and everything was set up to do it. So, you kind of fall into a little bit of a gray area there. If you think about it, you fall into a bit of a gray area. I know that's an unpopular opinion, and I know, people just blow up and all that. But, I've been around a long time too, and I've done a lot of these deals, probably a lot more than the people that's going to blow up. And that is something uh, that if you ever, let's just say you had to try to defend that in court, I mean, it'd be tough. Okay, if you think about it. So I've done them, done a bunch of them. And these types of deals are only as good as the people that sign the paper. So when you sign up for these types of deals, you know, you're in them and you got to follow them through to the end. And sometimes people fall a little short on the follow up through to the end. So um, on a lot of these sub two type deals, people will take the property sub two and then they'll wrap around finance it and put somebody else in it. Let's just say call them a tenant buyer or a buyer, whatever you want to call them. Okay, that's fine. Now, in the event something happens with the city, the grass is too high, somebody's doing something stupid on the property, who does the city call? The city traditionally calls the underlying property owner, not you, not the people that's living there. Okay. If anything is going on with that property, if there's, um, when if a tornado comes through and blows part of the roof off, and you've got an insurance claim. Now, you do all the powers of attorney and you do all those things, but it's been my experience, and I always want to say that it's been my experience that when you call Erie Insurance and you give them those um, powers of attorneys and stuff like that, they still want to talk to the underlying. They want to talk to the person with the insurance. Now, people can tell you whatever they want. They can flip it, roll it, do whatever. They want to talk to the person that they have the policy with. Period. Now, that person talks to them and gives them permission to talk with you, they're still going to have to be in that deal. So what I'm saying is when you take a property sub two or anything like that, you have to keep communication with the underlying property owner. You've got to keep communication because if anything happens there, it's them, not you, and not your tenant buyer. It's them. And sometimes I don't think that we go deep enough into the weeds and people go out maybe sometimes and try to do these types of deals. So I want to tell you the truth and I want to give you the cold hard, non-sizzle, non-glamorous look at these deals from stuff that's happened to me. And and a lot of it I've been kind of blindsided with, and I'm like, oh wow, I never thought about that. So,
It's
you know,
it's risky, but I mean, don't get me wrong, you made a bunch of money doing it, and
yes.
it's good, it's a good avenue when you do it right, right?
Mhm. Good avenue, but you've got to stand tall. You got to stand tall. And these are some things that you run into sometimes is the insurance thing. And I know they say, oh, well, do you do this, you do this, that's great. But some insurance companies, you know, they want to talk to the policyholder, period. Okay. No matter what anybody tells you, they want to talk to the policyholder. So, there's a lot of moving parts that you have to manage. A lot of the sub two type stuff I've done is I do it sub two and then I rent it and just make it basically a rental. Okay, I don't do a lot of creative rap and finance type stuff because that just creates another moving part for me that I've got to deal with. And if there's repairs that need to be done, who's doing them? Is it the tenant buyer? Is it me? Underlying property owner? Well, underlying property owner is going to say, it's you. You signed the deal with me. I'm going to say, no, it's the tenant buyer. So that's some things that you got to think about when you do these type sub two deals. I know it's a bit confusing unless you've been in some of them, and I don't want to throw down on sub two. I've done them, and I'm actually selling a property right now that I've had a sub two deal on for years, and I paid the property off. We the deal went well. I stood tall as always and done the repairs and anything had happened, kept the property in good shape, paid it off. We transferred the deed. It's now in my company name and now I'm selling it. So I don't want to tell you that it doesn't work. It does work. And
How
it's, you know,
do you remember? I know it's probably been a while. Do you remember how much you paid for that house on term? Like, how did you do it?
um, it was a
How,
cheap house.
hmm
It was a great deal. It was a cheap house. Seems like it was under maybe $20,000. So, it was a very affordable house. A little two bedroom, one bath, under 1,000 square feet, but it was in a pretty good location. So, The underlying payment was like $165,
Wow.
including taxes and insurance. I know some of it's in some of these markets going, holy shit, what? Yeah. But we still have some stuff here that's pretty cheap in West Virginia. So it's like $165, and then I done some wraparound. I leased it for a while, and was leasing it for 600 a month, so I was making pretty good split on it. And then I done uh, an installment land contract, took 3,000 down. Uh, I think it was 550 a month, 3,000 down, 550 a month, and that was on a 10-year note. And so that didn't work out. Of course, the guy that had the note, he quit paying me. So I took the property back, and I was close to paying off at that point, so I paid it off. And then now I've switched the property into my name, and we're selling it. So that's kind of how that deal went, and you know, worked out. But that's some of the things that can happen when you're doing these creative type deals is, it's based on the premise that people are going to pay you on the back end. And if you're in this business very long, not everybody's going to pay you, no matter how much you screen or how much you do. I mean, I have a property in an area. I had a property one time in an area. It's called Del Barton, West Virginia, and then it's kind of in the bowels of West Virginia in the coal fields. And I bought this property for $6,500 years ago, years, and I'm talking probably in the late '90s. And this thing looked like a meteor had come through the ceiling and went right through the floor. I mean, it was, you know, and we made a big thing of it. If you ever watch Joe Dirt, they talk about the Boeing bombs, that he's pulling that thing around the wagon. It's got corn in it. Oh, God. So we call it like a Boeing bomb had come through it and through the roof and through the floor. And so fixed it up a bit, financed it. I fixed it up, and then I done some. I sold it on installment land contracts, and I guess I sold that thing. I think I sold it 6 times over the course of about 12 years, and took down payments, and people would pay 2 and 3 years. And somebody said you should figure up your return on investment on that thing. I don't even know how you could do that. I mean, it was, people would work on a little bit, they move on or move to North Carolina, or they do and and it was uh, down the coal field. So, coal would boom and bust, and the people would move on. I'd take it back. I'd take 3,000 down, do it again for several years, and take it back. And people would do work on it, put a roof on it, take it, sell this time, take 4,500 down. So, these little deals like that, these small deals can turn into something pretty good over the course of years. And when the final guy finally came in, he came to my office and he said, "Hey man," he said, "I got laid off from the mines, but," he said, "I'm going to pay you off." I'm like, "Man, are you sure?" Now, I said, if you want, you can just walk away, and no worries, man. We're all good." And he says, "No, man, I withdrew some money out of my 401k, and I'm gonna pay it off." And I'm like, "Okay, well, whatever you want to do." So, uh, he paid it off, and I transferred title and transferred it to him and his wife. And as far as I know, they're still there today. I don't know, but that's just one of those little deals that, like it's almost a virtual ATM machine. Now, you're gonna have to, people going to leave, people not going to pay you, you're going to put people out. I mean, there's management to it, but there's also money to it. So sorry to get off on a tangent there, but that was just a, you know, little story.
No,
So,
that's good stuff, man. I think, do you feel like somebody needs to, before they get started in this, like, doing the creative type of deals, taking on these properties that require management, do you think somebody needs to have a war chest, meaning some money put back? Like, or, is this something I can do? I just quit my pizza job and I just need to get some money real quick and I have no war chest, to cover repairs. Like, what's your advice?
well, if you're going to get into this, okay, and you don't have money, you don't have some money, you better take a really good property. And I tell people that all the time. I mean, we've had some local investors that was taking on a bunch of stuff, and I would tell them, I said, "Man, you need to run. Don't walk away from that. That's not." And so what I'm saying is, if you do it and you don't have like a pretty good war chest. You need to really take on a really good property with a good roof, good heating and cooling, you know, the whole nine yards, good windows, siding looks good. Take on good properties. Don't take on like the house I was telling you about in Del Barton, West Virginia. Don't take that on. That's not the property that you want to take on. So I would recommend you have some money because you're going to have to do repairs. You're going to have to take care of stuff, and these things are going to happen. So if you're doing sub two, you really need to underwrite it with a little bit of money because repairs and things are going to happen. If you take that property sub two and you wrap it with some financing, if the people don't pay you and they tear the house up inside, who's supposed to fix it up? Whose responsibility is it? Are you going back to the underlying seller? No. Are you going to get the tenant buyer to fix it? No. Then whose is it? It's yours. And I've had to do it time and time again. I've had to come back in. I've had to fix stuff. I've had to paint stuff. I've had appliances stolen. I've had, you know, I've had heat pumps stolen. I mean, you name it. I mean, I got a skin on me like a saddlebag, man. So I've had I've had everything happen in the world on these types of deals. So what I'm telling you is these deals are great, but just be aware of, I know you sell the sizzle sometimes with coaches, they sell the sizzle, but I want to be the people that tell you the truth too. I want you to kind of be forewarned a little bit and not to discourage you from doing it, but to prepare you for what's coming. Because if you're prepared, chances are it won't happen, right? So be prepared, understand some of the pitfalls that can fall back on you over the course of many years. And if you take a sub two deal or any kind of creative finance deal and it's a 10, 15-year deal and you haven't talked to the people in 10 years, that's not a good thing because you're going to have to interact with them at some point. So you got to keep up with them. You got to know where they're at. So I don't recommend you take a creative finance deal long term because too many things can happen. What if they pass away? Where do you fall? You see, I've had that happen. So I've learned all these types of things. So, you know, if you take a creative deal and you do it, let's say installment land, or in other states, they got different names for it. But if you even a lease with an option, or you take anything like that, take it to the courthouse and have it recorded. Got to do that. If it's not recorded, it didn't happen.
Explain what that means. Recorded.
Well, you need to take it and get it recorded on the property itself.
So, but
That's
what do you
basically.
mean by recording? Like, am I filming a recording? Like, what am I doing?
No, you're taking it to in West Virginia, it's the county commission and the clerk of the county commission, and they record it against the deed book and a page number against the property that you took the owner finance deal on. So basically, it clouds the title and it puts you in place and it protects your position a little bit. Let's just say that you do a deal, it's a 3-year deal, and you've done an installment land contract, and you guys can, everything's going good, boom, 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 and God forbid something happens, somebody passes away. Okay, how's your position protected if it's not recorded? So you're hoping that the heir or whoever honors the contract, and they may, but then again, they may not. So it's very important for you to go and get this stuff recorded. And in West Virginia, if you do an installment land contract with someone, like if you buy it on an installment land contract, that's fine. But before you can close on it, or in West Virginia, you can sell that property. Like if I take an installment land contract from a from someone, I can sell it as well. But they want it recorded, so they want it in the chain of title as part of the transaction itself. So that's West Virginia. I don't know how other states work. Every state's a little bit different, but I'm just kind of giving you my own experience with it. So,
how do we make sure, because this is the biggest thing, my biggest problem with sub two is that it seems like 9 times out of 10 the seller don't even really understand what they're signing with a lot of these deals that I'm seeing other guys are a part of and girls, right? Like,
right.
I like yesterday we got a call, it was Google PPC lead, and she calls and she's like, I've went through the ringer on this house, multiple contracts. A buyer had me sign a sub two agreement. She didn't use the word sub two. She said it was assumable loan. She didn't understand. She
Right.
signed terms, the agreement, and then once she found out what she signed, she was like, I don't want to do this no more. And the guy was like, well, if you don't want to do this, that's fine, but you're going to have to pay me 25 grand to get released out of this contract. And it was recorded, right? So she was like, oh no, what do I do? Then she goes to the attorneys, three different attorneys. They're like, hey, you signed a binding agreement and there's, this is what it is. I mean, like you said, we talked about this, coach, and you said, you could fight stuff like this, but it gets expensive, right? So I'm just curious, like, how does David do that? How are you explaining exactly how it's done, what paperwork is involved in all of this to make sure the seller understands so you're not getting married to somebody who really don't get it and they want to, back out later.
Well, when you're doing these creative deals, man, disclosure is everything. You got to tell people what you're doing. You got to make sure they understand. And I do a creative finance disclosure that goes over, the different things that I've told them, and they kind of initial it. And I would recommend that you also record it, you film it, okay? Because sometimes people forget over the long haul what's been signed, what they've signed, what they've done. And then the first thing they say is, well, he didn't explain it, or he didn't do it, or she didn't tell me. And that's a normal response, even though you did. So explain, 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 record, 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 disclose, disclose, disclose,
Yeah.
and try not to do stuff long term. Try not to do 15, 20-year deals. I mean, that's a long time. You know, uh, like I made a comment to Malik how that's about chopping wood and carrying water. That's a long time to chop wood and carry water. Meaning that's a lot of maintenance. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of the house going to need a roof. Probably in that 15, 20-year period, it's going to need new heating and cooling. And those are $15,000 heating and cooling system, $20,000 shingle roof. May need windows, may need, so that's a long time. So my thoughts on it is try to do these creative finance deals shorter term, 3 years, 5 years,
And just
and
what
either sell the property or get it to where you can pay it off and transfer it out into your name or your company name, and then you have full control.
Cool. So going back to those disclosures, I know, how about also, I know you're going to record it, you're going to get the disclosures done. What about also, notary, getting a notary or a witness and, using an actual attorney instead of doing it on the kitchen table yourself? Like,
Mhm.
does that protect you too? Because I know like some guys do their own title searches and they'll do a sub two deal on the kitchen table with you.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I would go ahead and have the title search done, and I've done these creative finance deals at the house. I mean, I've done them. So, but in today's world, I would definitely involve title company attorney, try to do your installment land. Please do a title search. Please do a title search. Man, uh, I've got friends that's done these deals and they didn't do title searches. They wrapped around finance. People paid them for years. Underlying liens they didn't know about. Just an absolute mess. Just a mess. So, you know, creative finance is not the silver bullet. I say this over and over to you. It's only as good as the people that sign the deals. So, you know, people
So
sign a deal. Hey, house free and clear. Okay, great. I'm going to confirm that with a title search.
I
I'm
like
going to have the attorney set it up. I'm going to structure the payments where we're going to have an amortization schedule. I'm going to pay it to the bank if they have an underlying lien, pay this lien. You know, everything's going to be done on a structured way with witnesses and stuff in a title company or attorney's office. That's the best way to protect everybody.
we started off talking about deal, how to do deals and everything, like structuring deals. We go into creative. Um, I think creative's awesome. I'm a little bit, you know how I am. I'm a little bit weary of it. I don't want to just sign anybody up on a sub two. I'm just like that, man. I guess listening to you and being a part of the sub twos, because I've wholesaled sub twos. And
Mhm.
I don't agree with that. And I've done it. I don't, because I've seen how things can get misconstrued. It's hard. You got, like, if I have a coach and I know coach is looking for sub two deals, that's different. If Michael's on here and he has a house and I know that David could do a sub two and I know Michael's okay with sub two and I bring these two together maybe for like some type of consulting fee or an assignment fee or something, that's cool. But I don't like how, like, people get these houses under contract. The sellers don't know what they're doing. They think David's taking over the house, and the next thing you know, David's on Facebook and sub two groups posting it for the whole world to see. I've seen guys literally posting the seller's bank information, like the mortgage information with their account numbers for the whole world to see. Like, hey guys, I have a sub two and here's all the information. And I'm like, oh man, that's hard, man. There's a lot of important information in there and people are stealing identity. So I don't know. I just be careful. Right. So what do you think about that before we stop talking about like sub two and stuff? What do you think about wholesaling sub twos?
I don't, you know, the more steps, the more friction that you put in the deal, the worse the deal gets. So, you know, I take it from somebody, number one, okay, there's a little friction. I wrap it around to somebody else, or I sell it to somebody else. There's another friction point. They take it, wrap it in finance. There's another friction point. And the person that's going to be left holding the bag is the who? The original seller. Okay. Person that's on the deed, the person that has the bank note, the person. So what I would tell you is, you know, represent the seller, represent the underlying homeowner, do what's right by them, do the right thing by them. If you do that, everything's good. And if we took that attitude on all the stuff that we do, you wouldn't have states out here trying to enact all these laws against, wholesaling and stuff like that because people, uh, they learn a little something or they watch a little something and then they run out here and try to do these deals and get people all twisted up in this stuff. And it's an absolute mess. It really is.
You,
So my
you
my
said
thoughts
gold.
is,
That was
my
gold.
thoughts is, man, if you're going to get into this thing, call a guy like me or somebody and get a little bit of help and get a little mentoring or something. Learn what you're doing and represent the homeowner. You know, they always say, like, if you're a politician, if you put the people first, you can always defend it, right? And it's the same way in real estate. If you put the seller first, what's best for the seller? And you're a stand-up man or woman and you're going to do the right thing by them and you're going to take care of this property and it's a property you want. So, when I buy properties lots of times, and I tell Travis this all the time, I say, even on flip properties and stuff, I always talk about it being a three-way go. And what I mean by that is, I can flip it, I can wholesale it, I can hold it. I'm all right with all three, right? So, you know, if you're going to do an owner finance like that, make sure it's a good property. Make sure it's in an area that you like. Make sure it's in an area that's good and good resale and got a good roof and got good windows and got good heating and cooling and represent the seller the right way, man. If you do that, you'll be finding these deals. But if you're thinking of it as a volume and a conveyor belt and you're just going to hammer now, hammer, hammer, hammer now, then, you know, it may work good for a little while, but pretty soon, it's going to be a crap show down the road 4, 5, 6 years. And you kind of learn the hard way like that. So
I
sorry
really
to get
like
off on
what
a
you
tangent.
said. No, I like what you said. I was listening to a podcast this morning. It's a sales podcast, and they said what you just said. They said that, the biggest problem with when a salesperson gets on a call is they start thinking about the money, the commission, they start thinking about their self, the greed, right? But if you go into the call, you know, is this in the best interest of this person? And I love that. If you can just go into these deals, whether you're wholesaling or creative, and hey, this is the person I'm dealing with in front of me, and that's awesome. Okay, we got some questions here. Let's see. What all questions do we have? We have Michael and Ben that left the question.
Okay, lay them on me. I do.
All right. Michael said, if the bank becomes aware of sub two, do they want the note to be paid off? Pretty much, he's asking about the due on sale.
Right. Well, I've done them where the bank did know and they never said nothing. Okay. So every bank's a little bit different. But these were local banks. So so that's a little different too. But not always will it trigger a due on sale, and not always will the bank accelerate the mortgage and call it due. So, Michael, it's kind of a, 50-50. I have seen guys say that the people, they accelerate the mortgage and they want it paid. So, you know, but if you do one of these, go into it with that mindset. Okay, it's going to be accelerated. What do I do? What's my exit plan? Okay, how do I pay this thing off? What's my plan? If you plan for these contingencies in these types of creative finance deals, I promise you it'll work out good for you. But if you just go in and say, "Oh, and then all of a sudden you just wham, you get hit with something like that, or you get hit with these repairs I'm talking about, or uh, you wrap it around in finance and people tear the property up and cause all kinds of problems, and the city's after you, and everybody in the world's after you, and you know, then the creative finance deals get pretty bad pretty quick, um, just like a rental property or anything else. So, okay,
I
was there?
Yeah, I would. I don't know. This is my opinion. I wouldn't contact the bank prior to it. I wouldn't mention it necessarily to any. I mean, I'm not trying to lie to the bank. I would never lie. If they ask me the question, I'm going to be honest. But I'm not just going to come out and say it because they're going to most likely they're just going to tell you no. Most
Right,
likely. Yeah.
right.
Um. But yeah, I mean, I think I love these creative deals. I think, we were just at that place in Dunbar and we seen how easy it is for a seller to consider it.
Mm.
Like I
Yeah,
feel like the creative offer is a lot more attractive to the seller who will consider it than a cash
yeah.
offer.
We were at a property the other day. I'll tell them a story about that real quick.
Yep.
Today's like story time, I guess. You know, uh, we were at this, what was the 5 unit? There's 5 units, three up, two
Yeah.
down.
Hmm.
Four. Yeah. It was commercial building down, residential apartments up, and we were there looking at the property, and it was just one of our leads. I forget how we got the lead, if it was PPC or what it was. I think it was PPC. And she wanted to sell the property. She's done. She's out. I'm done. She owned the property free and clear. Didn't owe any money on it. Um, but she didn't want to owner finance it. So we spent 30, 40 minutes with her. I talked to her. I ran her through, my normal stuff, and I talked to her about um, financing. I talked to her about the basics of the building, the structure of the building, and this and that. So anyway, long story short, by the time we got to the end of the conversation, I said, "So if I was willing to give you 40,000 down, would you finance it?" And she's like, "To you, yeah." I mean, so we went from a 200 some $1,000 deal to she would finance to me with X number of dollars down.
Yeah, and for the first call, she mentioned that they mentioned they did not want to do owner financing. That other appointment I went to without you, she told me she didn't want to do owner financing. But then that third appointment, you come out, we're really building that rapport, we're bonding, and we're letting her know that we're not just here to lowball her, we're here to help and give options. You know, she sees that demeanor about you and about us and says, you know what, I would do that with them, even though she told us she wouldn't twice. And
Right.
it's not that they tell you, a lot of the times I found with owner finance, they tell you no at first, not because they're not interested, but they don't understand it. And usually when we don't understand something, we're always just like, well, I'm not interested. No, thank you. You know, you with this, there is a little bit of education, right? You got to
Yes.
educate a little bit, unless it's a guy like David Dean that, an invest. That's a good lead source, right? With these type of deals, the tired landlord, the guy who's owned a lot of property over the years, made his money. Would you say that that's a pretty good lead source?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say the burned out landlord is definitely the lead source, is a great lead source. I mean, I'm a great lead source. I got rentals and I've got properties, and hey, let me tell you, you want to do a creative deal, I'll hook you right up. So yeah, yeah, we'll do a finance deal in a second because I understand it, I'm around it, and it's something that I would be more than willing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Do we have any
Okay.
other questions? Anybody on here want to talk to us? It's okay if you don't. I'm just asking. I'm polite.
Anybody got any? Nobody got nothing for us today, man. Take it back. Is Tara on here?
Yes, I was just coming off mute.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and turn my camera on too for you.
All right.
Hello,
Hey.
Hey.
hello. So I've been on these calls, which I want to thank you guys so much. They are so informative. You all are so open to share your knowledge and just give so many opportunities to go over different things. Since I've been attending, so just want to thank you for that. So as a new investor, I think I introduced myself to you guys a few calls back, but just retired in September, the end of September, and really just started in January, I guess, trying to start my cold calling and things and so on and so forth. So yesterday, I gave my first two offers on two different properties. One did not accept it, which I kind of wasn't expecting them to, and I was okay with that. But I love how you all talk about really connecting with the sellers, and because I was nervous about, but that is my priority. If I call it win-win, it's going to be a win-win-win for everybody. So, I think I made a great rapport with this couple. Their circumstances are insane. There's so many things going on in their lives. They're really desperate. But they're just, running the numbers and doing the things. I couldn't put the emotion into it and say, yeah, I'm going to give you $100,000. No, this is what I can do. So anyway, but it was a good experience. They both came back to me and thanked me for it. So it was good practice for me and my first no, but I don't know what's going to happen. They're pressed, they're very motivated, and they may end up coming back to me. So I'm glad I set that rapport. And I told them, I'm always here if you need anything. And I just wish you the best. Well, the second one I offered yesterday has accepted it.
All
And
right.
and that is like super exciting, but I'm a little nervous about it too, and that's okay, right? That's totally okay. But that was going to be kind of where I was going to go with this second property. So now I sent a formal offer over to him yesterday. I just sent him like a blank contract that I'm using. That I told him to let your attorney, we walked through the entire contract, every clause of the contract. I had him ask any questions. Wanted to make sure. I thought the contract is really well written in layman terms, and it goes through every scenario that you could possibly think of. And I got this template from a very seasoned investor that has used it in the past, and actually other investors use it too. So, and I've got my attorney lined up already, so I will be doing everything through my attorney. I've already got that lined up. I did that prior to actually getting involved in these current opportunities. So here I am. So it gives you a little bit of background with this property. Um, I wanted to start out wholesaling specifically. I wanted to build some capital in my business. And, before I tried to start investing in myself into, flips and fix or fix and flips, long-term rentals, so on and so forth. So I thought, let's start, here with the wholesaling. Well, I went over this deal with a local wholesaler that I trust. He's got more experience than I do. And we went through this deal the other day, and I think I did a really good with the offer. He's going to take it for a lot less than he wants. Um, Basically, but the I call him one of my mentors, the other investor. He said, and other investors have told me that too. Like as soon as you can become an end buyer, become an end buyer. Especially here in West Virginia, where I live, it's more rural. Now we have, you've got some other places that you've got more population, or, but there's a lot of rural out where I'm at. And well, specifically where this property is. This one is not as bad, but I got comps on it. I was able to get comps. I was ready to do all the numbers. We went through it with me and the other investor. So I'm thinking this. I'm wondering if I go ahead and try to wholesale it, in the long run, I think it would be better for me to try to do it myself, like actually, and find maybe it's a private money lender that is interested in maybe, partnering with me to help me with some of the rehab on it. Um, but I'm just not. I hate to try to wholesale something that in the long run is going to be a better deal for me. Um, but you'd probably, and I don't want to monopolize any time here, but you probably need some more information to even like kind of evaluate the situation. But I can say that this guy had met with a realtor. It was a hoarder house, um, and he bought it off out of foreclosure or in the foreclosure process in 2024. He has gutted the whole entire house down to the studs. We've done a full walkthrough. My better half is an insurance adjuster. He's not in the investing world, the real estate world, but he inspects homes for a living. So he went and went through the whole piece, the whole property, inside, outside, and all the things. He evaluated what he would think the repairs would be needed, ran it by somebody else as well to see if they agreed. And what we came down to was, well, the realtor told him, this is somebody he talked to before. He didn't list it, but he had a realtor friend or an acquaintance that came over and evaluated the property and said they could list it on the MLS for, let's say, 50,000, 49,999, right? So he came back and told me, he said, I'm looking to get, he put $20,000 into it when he bought it. He's put a good another 20,000 into it, just tearing everything out, cleaning all the mess out, the dumpster fees, all the things. But it's also like it's a 4-1. And I really wasn't looking for necessarily four. You think, a lot of times, 3-1s or 3-2s, if you were looking like rental wise, they seem to be more popular. That seems like to what some of the investors I'm working with here in my area, are looking for more like that. But this has been taken down to the studs where you could easily, manipulate that floor plan. So the friend, the mentor friend said, this is something I just think if you do what you need, do what you want. But if this was something that you could hold on to yourself and, looking at everything, then I think that might be a better strategy for you than trying to sell. He said, because I know if you go to this one wholesaler, he said he's going to offer you $13,000 for it. Well, the real estate investor or agent had said they'd list it for, let's say, 50,000. The guy came back to me and he said, I'm ready. He said, I'd take 35 to 25 or 35 to 40,000 for it. I made him offer $20,000 just because Greg and my mentor, he said, you're going to have to get it for 50,000, less than 50,000, So I made him offer 20,000. I know he was in it for more himself, but I made him offer for 20,000. He came back and said, could we maybe do 25? I said, yes. So we agreed on that. Now, again, his attorney's reviewing the contract. We'll see how it all works out. But I want to be smart here. I don't want to just be trying to just make some money real quick, just a few dollars here, when maybe I can work to get myself in a position where I can actually, do my first, maybe, fix and flip or long-term rental, whichever strategy would work best. So any advice or guidance or suggestion? I know it's not legal advice, and you're not an attorney and all those things, but just what I've shared with you. what do you all think? Or do you have any questions that might help clarify anything?
Take the money and run.
Wholesale? Okay.
Well, you're just starting out, right?
Yes, this would
And
be
you
my
need
first deal.
and,
Yeah.
and you need to get going, and
Okay.
and you need some money, and
Yeah.
when you get into these fix and flips and rentals, and they're very capital intensive, and
Uh-huh.
I mean, I do them all the time, and I say, well, I'm going to spend 100,000 remodel, spend 125, 130. I mean,
Exactly.
so
Okay.
my thoughts to you is starting out. Hey, let's make some money. It's my first
Okay.
deal. Let's list
Yeah.
this thing. Let's make that cash because money spends no matter what, right? So now you
Right.
got a little money under your belt, and you can
Okay.
move on to the next deal, and stack you up 4 or 5, 6 deals like that and stack
Yeah.
some cash. Now you got options.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you can, because there's plenty of time to buy rentals or do fix and flip and do all that stuff. It's
Okay.
abundant out here, so you can do what you want. But that's my take on it: is take your money and get yourself going in the business. And if you wanted to invest in something that you need, deal machine or
I do have prop stream.
okay, yeah, okay,
I
yeah,
use
just
prop stream.
Think think about this too. Like it's an old Jim Rohn saying, right? Like it's not about what you're getting, it's about what you're becoming. You know,
Oh, I
and
like that. Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm
and
just learning, so I need
yeah.
to,
So
get that. Go ahead.
So I just believe that, and this is just my opinion, I believe that as a wholesaler, you are learning how to be the source of the deal, is what you're
Mhm.
learning. You're learning what a deal is, you're understanding a deal. Now, once Tara does a few deals and she makes her some wholesale money and she knows that, man, this is exactly what a deal is, and I'm confident I don't
Yeah.
need Travis, David, or Greg or anybody to tell me this
Okay.
is a deal. I know it's a deal. Then
Okay.
I would recommend getting some private money or finding somebody else like how like I don't do fix and flips but coach does, so me and David, we
Yeah.
do a lot of different partnerships, and I feel like that's safer, for me, and I think it's all about you have a partner that goes through houses for a living and knows what they're doing, so you have a
Yeah.
lot of good strengths there to eventually go into that and closing on
Yeah.
these properties. But yeah, I would just make as much as I can wholesaling for now. That's what I would do.
Sounds great. Well, and I think I feel more comfortable with that because I do want, like, I'm actually, when I made these offers, when I've been working on these, from the first of the outreach and the contact, they both kind of came like one after another in a couple of days, and very motivated. And I'm like, okay, this is my first really like somebody like saying, hey, yeah, yeah, let's chat about this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yay, yay.
Yeah.
So, but I think just staying where I'm at and just trying to do that instead of, don't put the cart before the horse, because if I put myself in a situation where I am going to need, other people's money, or, build some capital of my own, and then decide. And as I do all this, I'm going to continue to learn. And as I do the wholesale deals, I'm going to learn from the other buyers. I'm going to learn my first closing. I'm going to learn, or the assignment of contract. This is all, new to me. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you both for your feedback.
I
yeah.
think Greg's just looking out for you though. He's not wrong. I know Greg, so I know that
Yeah, no,
he
I
means
know
well
he is.
for you.
He's
He
so
wants you to make
awesome.
more
No,
money.
no, 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 no. He's just telling me, like, he knows where I am. Like, he
Yeah.
wasn't saying like, go, this is a good deal, like you should do this. He said, I hope that you can get to a point where you can really
Yeah.
start, being able to do, because he started out with wholesaling alone himself,
He's
you
seen
know.
he's seen very quickly that it's hard to wholesale here in West Virginia.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly. He was so awesome. He's been great. He has been awesome. And he's the first person I reached out to. I'm like, Greg, I need to talk to somebody. So he's been so supportive. He actually started our local investors network here in our area, the Southern West Virginia.
yeah, Greg's
Um,
cool people. I met him at the
yeah.
Pace Morby came here, and I met Greg there. But I knew Greg before that. He's a part of the Rhino tribe with Brent Daniels. That's how me and Greg met. It's a mentorship.
Okay.
Yeah. I like Greg a lot. We need to have him come on here, Coach, and talk with us. He's up in Beckley, and I think
Yeah.
he's trying to do a lot of burrs right now and start taking down.
Yeah.
He's doing what he's giving you the advice to do. That's why, he's like, yeah,
Exactly. Well, and I told Rusty, my better half, I said, I want to reach out, and we'll reach out to Greg and see if he has, just to kind of look at my numbers, make sure, I know there's a little bit of art and a little bit of science to, figuring all those things out, but I've felt real comfortable, and he's so good to just walk you through
Yeah.
and explain. He wants to help other people too. He wants to
Yeah.
see others
That's what it's
succeed as
about.
well. So,
And
so
Hey,
good for
he's been
you
great.
too. Good for you for two offers and getting an accepted offer. Like that's a
Thank you.
good
Thank you.
that's a
Thank you.
success.
Thank you.
Now you have to go make some money on it and come back
That's
and
right.
tell us the whole deal.
Okay, I will. I will do that. And I have another one too that it's a lady I worked with. It was kind of word of mouth that got to her. Well, I did my first ever Facebook post, like out there on, like for the whole world, to see, just on my Facebook. But I mean, I had so many shares on that, and I got 3 leads immediately from that. And one of the ladies I used to work with her, she lives in North Carolina now, but she's got a place in Beckley, and she's not sure when she's going to be in this month. She wants me to meet her there, and I want to get pictures and evaluate, walk the property. But I did do a drive-by and took a picture of the exterior of the home, because where it was located, it didn't really show up on Google Maps very well.
Yeah.
But it is in a neighborhood. It's not out standing on its own on 100 acres or anything like that. It is in a neighborhood. So I'm hoping that at least I can connect with her when she gets in, and she's
Awesome.
looking forward because she has other plans,
Mm.
and listening to the sellers, or about the potential sellers I have talked to, just listening to what is their motivation? Why are you wanting to do this? And then they start sharing. And that's where you've got to, like, just, yeah, let them share their story, and realize that, this one may be more motivated than this one, or this one has other reasons for being motivated, or this one may not be so motivated.
Yeah.
Cindy's not going to come in for this property at sometime this month. She's not calling me, on the phone. We got to do this today.
Yeah.
So I'm not, but a follow up is always important as well. So even some other things I've been working on, and calls I've made, and reach out, follow up. I've got everything flagged for follow up. So yeah,
That's awesome.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
and
Thanks for
just
coming.
remember this, Tara, too. As you move along and you do more deals,
Hmm.
people take notice. Okay.
Okay.
And then
Hmm.
private money will find you when you go looking for it, because private money invests in people, not property.
Gotcha. And
Okay.
that makes sense.
Never
Right.
property. It's always people. So they're going to watch you, see how you
Okay.
operate, what you do, you're doing business, your
Mhm.
reputation. And then when you go out there and look for that $150,000 on a deal or something, then a private
Yeah.
lender is more willing to say, okay, she's been doing the right things. And
Good.
when I invest my money, I'm investing in Tara, not the
Yeah.
property that she's going to pay me. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Malachi had something
Thank
too.
you.
I think Malachi wanted to chime in on it. Right.
I don't know.
Malachi,
Did
you
he?
there?
Where's he at? There he is.
Hey,
Hey
hey.
guys, yeah, I did want to chime in, but you guys pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say. My initial question that I was just going to ask you was just have you done anything in the real estate space? Um, and like I said, Travis pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say, because I was just going to say pretty much the same thing. Like, I don't think you should necessarily be focused on kind of like what you could make. Obviously, there's always more room to make more profit. But if you're not really that familiar, and like you said, contracts, and if you don't have contractors to get the work done in a timely manner,
Hmm.
I don't think it would really be just smart to kind of like just jump in there. And wholesaling is great. Like Travis said, it really teaches you the ins and out of real estate. I feel the same exact way. Like you'll learn how to find the deals. You'll know what a good deal is. And then ultimately, what I think is it'll show you if you even like real estate, because fix and flipping might not be something that you want to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
And taking out a loan for $200,000 to go fix and flip a house, that's a lot
Yeah.
more than not having to put any money but $100 EMD down just to wholesale the property and make 20,000, instead of getting a loan for 200,000 and making maybe 30,000 more. So that was just my 2 cents on it. That I just wanted to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malachi.
No problem.
Did anybody else have anything? Thomas, did you have something, or did we answer it earlier?
No, I was just posting to let people know that I can help them with the funding as far as
Awesome.
real estate or, you know, instead of going through a bank if they want to just, and they're quicker than a bank too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, well, if nobody else has any questions, then all right. I don't think we do. So, all right, everybody, our time is about up here. So I appreciate you coming on. And I know we talked a lot about creative finance and we talked a little bit about deal structuring and stuff. So if you're going to get into that sort of thing, reach out to us. We can help you, maybe help mentor you a little bit and kind of put you on the right path and make sure you get started off the right way. And hopefully we can see some of the pitfalls and the bear traps that's kind of down the way a little bit, and maybe keep you from stepping in them. And that really goes a long way because sometimes when you've been in this business a while, you learn everything the hard way coming up. So hopefully we can maybe make it a little easier on you. So I appreciate you guys watching. As always, try to put us out there. Our group's growing. I think we're up to about, what is it, Travis, 1,200 people?
Yeah, we're close. Yep.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate all of you. We appreciate your support in this, and we'll continue to keep trying to give you the truth as we see it. And as always, we think if it'll work in West Virginia, then it'll work anywhere. Thank you for watching.